In today's lecture, we will be discussing about Z transform. But before that, let's have a recap that last we discussed in uh, previous class. So in previous class, we discussed about Z transform, right? And we said that, for example, if we have a signal x of n, right? And if you compute its Z transform, that must be equal to x of z, and by definition that must be from minus infinity to infinity x of n z power minus n, right? And we compared it with Laplace transform, right? With Laplace transform, because you know that Laplace transform is sigma plus j omega. So we said that we map continuous time signal uh, on a rectangular coordinate system, right? And in contrast to that, in Z transform, in Z transform, okay, in Z transform, what we do is we have a symbol Z which is equal to R e to the power j omega. That means we are mapping a discrete time signal on a polar coordinate with radius r and theta omega, right? So this is a real part of Z and this is imaginary part of Z, right? So we said, for example, we have a sequence uh, x of n that is equal to summation n from sorry, we have a sequence that is equal to a power n u of n, right? And if we wish to compute its x of z, then by definition x of z is from minus infinity to infinity x of n z power minus n. And now we know that this x of n is equal to a power n u of n. So we put the value of x of n into the equation. What we get is n from minus infinity to infinity a power n u of n z power minus n, right? And we talked about u of n that it exists from 0 to infinity and its amplitude is 1, right? So we can rewrite it as n from 0 to infinity alpha power n z power minus n, right? And we can rewrite it as n from 0 to infinity a z inverse whole power n, right? Now we know a popular summation that exists from 0 to infinity power series summation that is equal to 1 upon 1 minus a, given that a is less than 1. So then our x of z must be now equal to 1 upon 1 minus az inverse, like, and az inverse must be less than 1. So we can rewrite this equation as a over z is less than 1. Now if you take z to the left side, then you get z is greater than a. So x of z is 1 upon 1 minus az inverse, right? uh, so in today's class we will be discussing about inverse Laplace transform, inverse Z transform, right? So there are basically three different methods to compute the inverse Fourier transform of any signal. The first is by equation, right? By formula. Second one is using partial fraction. And third method is using power series or long division, right? Okay, so let's start. So first, if you remember, we said there is a relation between DTFT and Z transform. So if I write Z formula for Z transform, that is equal to x of n z power minus n, right? And our x of e to the power j omega is equal to summation n from minus infinity to infinity x of n z power, sorry, e to the power minus j omega, right? This is our DTFT, and this is formula for Z transform. Okay, so we know that Z is equal to R e to the power j omega, right? So if I substitute this value into x of z equation, given that Z is equal to R e to the power j omega, then what we get? N from minus infinity to infinity x of n e to the power minus r, sorry, the value of z is r e to the power j omega whole power minus n, right? So assume that, for example, if r is equal to 1, if r is equal to 1, then what we get is uh, x of z is equal to x of e to the power j omega, because this r is now 1, right? N from minus infinity to infinity x of n e to the power minus j omega n. Now you can see we said that if r is equal to 1, then DTFT and Z transform are same. In other words, if we talk about this unit circle, if r is 1, then means our radius is 1, right? And this theta. So means when this r is 1, our radius of the circle is 1, then DTFT is strictly equal to Z transform. But what if r is not equal to 1? Then our x r e to the power j omega is equal to summation n from minus infinity to infinity, right? Uh, if you solve this value, then what you get? R to the power minus n x of n e to the power minus j omega n, right? So we can say that Z transform of x of n is equal to DTFT of r to the power minus n x of n, right? Okay, so what if we wish to compute the inverse of this transform? So we can say that x of r e to the power j omega is equal to, now I represent this DTFT with f Fourier transform, right? R to the power minus n x of n. Now taking inverse on both sides, right? Inverse on both sides, then what I get from here? Uh, this Fourier transform and inverse Fourier transform cancels out. What remain is r to the power minus n x of n, which is equal to Fourier inverse of x r e to the power j omega, right? Now we wish to compute the time domain, right? Only so x of n must be equal to r times positive n, because when this goes in division, and if you bring it to the numerator, its power should be negative. So it is already negative. Negative times negative is positive. And if you know the formula for Fourier transform, that is equal to x of e to the power j omega is equal to n from minus infinity to infinity x of n e to the power minus j omega n. And what about x of n? If you wish to compute the inverse of this signal, then that is equal to 1 over 2 pi integral 2 pi x of e to the power j omega uh, and then e to the power positive j omega n d omega, right? Now we want to compute the inverse of this x of r e to the power j omega. Then what we get? This must be equal to 1 over 2 pi, right? Integral over 2 pi x of r e to the power j omega e to the power j omega n d omega, right? Now what if I take this term inside the integral? Then what I get is x of n is equal to 1 over 2 pi integral over 2 pi x of r e to the power j omega, right? This r power n e to the power j omega n d omega. Okay, now solving it further, x of n is equal to 1 over 2 pi integral over 2 pi x of r e to the power j omega and r e to the power j omega whole power n, right? D omega. Now I want to substitute this value. For example, if I say let z is equal to r e to the power j omega, then dz must be equal to what should be the value of dz? R j e to the power j omega, right? So d omega, right? And now we can say dz is equal to r e to the power j omega, that is equal to z, right? D omega. Then I can say dz is equal to z d omega, and our d omega is equal to 1 over jz dz, right? Now substitute these all values into this equation, then what we get is x of n is equal to 1 over 2 pi, and we know that our integral is over a closed interval, right? From minus r to plus r, whatever you can say. So it is a closed integral of a circle, which is equal to x of z, and then this whole term r e to the power j omega is z now, z power n, right? Z power n times value of this d omega, that is equal to 1 over jz d omega. So x of n is equal to 1 over 2 pi integral x of z. Now this j is, you can see this j is a coefficient multiplied with so sorry, this is dz, right? So this we can take this j out, so it becomes 1 over 2 pi j, and what, and this, if you take this z, because z, this is z power 1, if you uh, bring it to the numerator, then this must be z power minus 1, and if it is z power minus 1, so this is also z power n, so base are same power to be added, then this must be equal to z power minus n dz, right? So finally we have x of n, that is equal to 1 over 2 pi x of z, z power n minus 1 dz. This is the final formula to compute the inverse Fourier, inverse Z transform, right? This is formula for inverse Z transform, right? Okay, so because this is very tedious way of calculating the inverse Fourier transform. So most of the books don't follow this. What they follow is that is called second method, partial fraction. Partial fraction and lookup table. What does that mean? That means, first of all, if we have, for example, we can solve it through example and then we can get a clear idea what I'm talking about. For example, we have signal x of z that is equal to 3 minus 5 upon 6 z inverse upon 1 minus 1 upon 3 z inverse and 1 minus 4 upon z inverse, right? And z is greater than 1 upon 3. So what if we have a signal z transformed signal, and if we wish to compute x of n, then what we can do is, first of all, we break this term into partial fraction in partial sums, and then we use a lookup table in which popular all transforms are available. So we can make the transform and take directly inverse. So what does that mean is, for example, if we have 3 minus 5 upon 6 z power minus 1, 1 upon 1 minus 3 z inverse, 1 minus 4 upon z inverse. So if we break it into partial terms, then what we do is we to break the denominators into sums. First they were in product form, now we converted into sum form. Okay, so what if I solve it further, then what I get is a times 1 minus 1 upon 4 z inverse plus b 1 minus 1 upon 3 z inverse, right? And this whole term is available here. So 1 minus 1 upon 3 z inverse and 1 minus 4 z inverse. Okay, so now you can see that if I write the denominator part only, z inverse times 1 minus 4 upon z inverse. Now you can see this term cancels out because it is this term is divided in on left and right hand side. If you bring it here, then these terms should cancel out. Likewise, this term also cancels out. What is left is 3 minus 5 upon 6 z inverse is equal to a times 1 minus 4 upon z inverse plus b 1 minus 1 upon 3 z inverse. Okay, now you can see if I solve it further, this becomes a plus minus a minus 1 upon 4 z inverse times a plus b minus 1 upon 3 z inverse times b. I multiplied this term with this term with this. This is normal mathematics. Now okay, 3 minus 5 upon 6 z inverse. Now comparing coefficients, a plus b must be equal to 3, right? And minus 1 upon 4 a minus 1 upon 3 b must be equal to minus 5 upon 6, right? Because we compare the powers, okay, because these are only constant values, so we have equated with constant, and with, if there would have been a power of minus 2, then if some term exists here, then that must be equal to that coefficient. So what I can get from here is, you can see if I take the value of a from here, then a must be equal to 3 minus b, right? So put this value in this equation and get the result. What we get is minus 1 upon 4. What is the value of a now? 3 minus b, right? Minus 1 upon 3b is equal to minus 5 upon 6. Okay. Am I mistaking? No, okay, let us solve it, then we can see. So what I get, minus 3 upon 4 plus b upon 4, right? Minus b upon 3 is equal to minus 5 upon 6, right? Now take this value to that side, and what is the LCM of this 12? LCM of this is 12, so this must be 3b, right? Because 12 divided by 4 is 3, so 3b minus 4b is equal to minus 5 upon 6 plus 3 upon 4, right? So what I get from here, the LCM for this must be 12, right? This must be minus 10 plus, and this must be uh, 4 3 times 3 divided by 3 3 is 9, right? And this must be equal to b upon minus b upon 12, right? Solving it further, this has become complex now. Minus 1 upon 12 minus b. Now this 12 is in division here, it must be multiplied on the other side. So 12 is cancel, b is equal to 1, right? So we got the value of b. Now if we substitute this value of b into this equation, then we get the answer for a as well. So a is equal to, you can see a is equal to 3 minus b. So our a is equal to 3 minus b. Then a must be equal to 3 minus 1, which is equal to 2, right? Now what we need to do is we have to substitute that values into the initial equation which we found using partial fraction, right? This equation, right? So a is 2 now and b is 1. Remember that. And one thing, 1 upon 3 is below a. So I can say that x of z is equal to uh, 2 upon 1 minus 1 upon 3 z inverse plus b is 1, 1 minus 1 upon 4 z inverse. Now if you remember, uh, we had a popular transform a power n u of n. If you compute z transform of this equation, we get 1 upon 1 minus a z inverse, given that z must be greater than a, right? So using that identity, if we say 1 upon 3 whole power n u of n, because now I have substituted a with 1 by 3, and this must be equal to 1 upon 1 minus 1 upon 3 z inverse, and z must be greater than 1 over 3. So you can see, if I take this coefficient here, and let me do it. So if I can rewrite this as 1 upon 3. So the inverse, because z transform of this signal is this one, so inverse must be this signal. So we got the inverse of first signal. What about second one? For example, if we say z transform of 1 by 4 whole power n u of n, that must be equal to 1 upon 1 minus 1 upon 4 z inverse, given that z must be greater than 1 upon 4, right? So let us see if we are correct, because you remember that two sequence might get the same output. So now we wish to figure out what actually this series is. I don't want to confuse you here, so we keep on doing this. For example, we make a big circle here. complete circle. Let's try it again. No? Come on. What has happened? Circle by. Let me draw it myself. I wish to try it. Oh, great. So this is +1, this is -1, this is plus j, this is minus j. Okay. So the first signal says that region of convergence must be greater than 1/4. So 1/4 might be somewhere here, and this circle is come on. Okay, so the region of convergence for first signal says that signal must be the value of z must be greater than 1/4, right? The second signal says the value of z must be greater than 1/3. So 1/3 is greater than 1/4 because 1/4 is 0.25, 1/3 is 0.33. So this circle lies somewhere here, right? So this signal says the region of convergence must be outside of this unit circle. So it implies here as well, but I want to just focus on one part. You can infer it yourself. Now as you remember, the overall ROC is ROC of one intersection is ROC of second signal. So the region of convergence, their common region starts from 1/3, right? So our overall region of convergence for this particular signal must be greater than 1/3, right? This must be the region of convergence, right? This must be the region of convergence, and this is outside of the unit circle as well, right? But it cannot be within the circle 1/3, right? The region of convergence before 1/3, or you can see from here to here. If you can see, I'm drawing some lines. Region of convergence, the signal diverges. Signal do not converge. The signal converge only after 1/3, right? So this is real part of z and this is imaginary part of, right? So I haven't defined the legends. It is very necessary to always draw the legends. Okay, so you can see the given signal said that the region of convergence of this signal is region of convergence for this signal was greater than 1/3, and now we can see that these are the only possible sequences from where we are getting the desired output. So last but not least, we can say that the final output of the signal, the inverse of the signal is 2 times 1/3 whole power n u of n, right? Plus 1/4 whole power n u of n, right? If you wish to solve it a little bit further, then x of n must be equal to 2 1/3 whole power n plus 1/4 whole power n u of n, right? So this is the final output using partial fraction. But there may be another variation to this problem as well. For example, if someone says that our x of z is 3 minus 5/6 z inverse whole upon 1 minus 3 z inverse 1 minus 1/4 z inverse, and the region of convergence is 1 upon 4 is less than z, z is less than 1 upon 3. So what about this signal? So now we know the magnitude response of the signal must be same, that must be equal to 2 upon, I don't remember what was that, 1 upon 3, yes, 1 upon 3 z inverse plus 1 upon 1 minus 4 z inverse, right? But the region of convergence is now different. Earlier the region of convergence was greater than 1 upon 3, but now we have the different case. Now you remember that for example, if we have a sequence z transform of minus a power n u of minus n minus 1 is again equal to 1 upon 1 minus a z inverse, but this time z is less than a, right? So using that identity, what if we say the z transform of 1 by 3 minus 1 by 3 whole power n u of minus n minus 1, this must be equal to 1 upon 1 minus 1 upon 3 z inverse, right? Given that z must be less than 1 upon 3, right? And we can use the same sequence 1 by 4 whole power n u of n, that is equal to 1 upon 1 minus 1 upon 4 z inverse, given that z must be greater than 1 upon 4. So our region of convergence is R1 intersection R2. So that must be equal to 1 upon 4 is less than z, z is less than 1 by 3. What I mean is, let me draw and tell you what I mean from here. Okay, so if I draw a circle here, okay, so I assume that this is minus 1, this is plus 1, right? And now we have two sequences. First, say the region of convergence must be less than 1 by 3. So if I say 1 by 3 circle from here to here, for example, right? And the second, say, so region of convergence is, for first sequence is this thing, right? The second signal says that the region of convergence must be greater than 1 by 4, right? So this may be something here. So this signal says the region of convergence must be outside of 1 by 4, right? 1 by 4. Now you can see the common region is the region between 1 by 4 and 1 by 3, this ring shaped region, right? So if I draw it here, so this value is 1 upon 4, this point is 1 upon 4, and this point is, for example, 1 upon 3. So the region of convergence is within 1 by 4 and 1 by 3. So for this sequence, the region of convergence is this, right? So what about now the inverse of this transform, this signal? What about inverse, right? So if we take inverse on both sides, z inverse of x of z is equal to z inverse on both sides. So if I take 2 common, 1 upon 1 minus 1 upon 3 z inverse plus z inverse of 1 upon 1 minus 1 upon 4 z inverse. So we know that the inverse of this signal must be minus 1 upon 3 whole power n u of minus n minus 1. right? Plus the inverse of this must be 1 upon 4 whole power n u of n, right? And this signal was multiplied with 2 as well. So our x of n, the inverse of this must be x of n, that must be equal to minus 2 whole power 1 upon 3 n u of minus n minus 1 plus 1 upon 4 whole power n u of n, right? Okay, so the last variation to this signal is, for example, if we have x of z, that is again same signal 3 upon 6 z z power minus 1 1 minus 1 upon 3 z inverse 1 minus 1 upon 4 z inverse, right? So this is again using partial fraction, that must be equal to 2 upon right, using partial fraction, because it is same duplicate operation. I am not performing it again. Using partial fraction, this must be equal to 1 upon 4z inverse, and this time the region of convergence z is less than 1 upon 4. Now you can get the idea. So I can write now directly. We know that z transform of minus 1 upon 4 whole power n u of minus n minus 1 is 1 upon 1 minus 1 upon 4 z inverse, given that z must be less than 1 over 4. And our second signal, for example, come on, I don't know why sometimes we say this. Okay, so z transform of minus 1 by 3 whole power n u of minus n minus 1, that is equal to 1 upon 1 minus 1 upon 3 z inverse, and our z is less than 1 by 3, right? So let us draw their ROCs separately. So the second signal says the ROC must be less than 1 by 3, right? ROC must be less than 1 by 3, right? And the second signal says that ROC must be less than 1 by 4. So you can see what is the intersection point of both ROCs. This thing, right? So we can now write directly the final expression, and you can infer that our x of n now must be minus 2 1 over 3 whole power n u of minus n minus 1 minus 1 over 4 whole power n u of minus n minus 1, right? And I can also rewrite it as 1 by 3 whole power n minus 1 by 4 whole power n, and this term is multiplied with minus n minus 1, right? So in this way you can use partial fraction to solve for the inverse of the transform signal. Now last but not least is using third method is using long division. Using long division method. The long division method says, for example, if we have signal x of z, that is equal to 1 minus 1 upon a z inverse, given that our is, or in other terms we can say z is greater than a, right? So using long division method, what we can do is we divide 1 minus a z inverse, sorry, 1 with 1 minus a z inverse. So let's start doing it. For example, first I want to subtract this to this multiplied with this is 1 minus a z inverse, right? So if you subtract this, this becomes a z inverse. Now you multiply with a z inverse, then what you get is a z inverse minus a z inverse whole square. If you subtract this, this become a z inverse whole square. Now you multiply with a z inverse whole square, then what you get is uh, a z inverse whole square minus a z inverse whole cube. Now you subtract this, this cancels out, and this becomes a z cube, and this goes on like this, right? So at the output what we get is our x of z is equal to 1 plus a z inverse plus a z inverse whole square plus a z inverse whole cube, and this goes on. So can we write this as x of z is equal to summation n from 0 to infinity a z inverse whole power n, right? Right? So if you remember that this is equal to 1 upon 1 minus 1 minus a z inverse, right? And if you take z inverse of this sequence, then this must be equal to a power n u of n. Okay, so there are three methods to summarize. To compute the inverse z transform, there are three methods. First one is using formula. The formula is to compute x of n when x of z is available. What we need to solve is x of z power n minus 1 dz. The first method is using formula, and that is complex method, so we have excluded it from the course. If you wish to learn, I will put the link in the description and you can learn it by yourself. Okay, the second is using partial fraction. Using partial fraction, and the last one is using long division method. So in most of the exams, this question is asked, or in interviews, that how many ways are there from which you can compute the inverse Z transform using long division. So there are popular three methods to compute the inverse of a transformed signal, right? So I want to stop it here. In next class, we shall discuss about properties of Z transform.